you are into movie-related discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and today I'm with...
Kim Shactman.
Kim, how are you this week?
Hanging in.
Oh, man. God, yeah, it's been a brutal week for me. And I know I've heard it's been pretty brutal for you, too, right? It's almost Friday, though, right?
Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I just have to mention how much adulting sucks.
Oh, God, stop it.
Oh, God, you just hate that phrase, don't you?
God, I just said that no, okay, to be fair, I said it's okay if you said it, but, man, when people say that word, on posts on the internet, it just makes them sound like they're teenagers, and I'm like, oh, God, stop it.
Well, we all just wish we were still teenagers sometimes, right?
No, I actually don't. I know it's weird, but, to me, being a teenager is very stifling to a certain extent. I'm actually one of the few people where I look back at being a teenager and look now, even despite the condition I'm in right now, and I'm a lot happier now than I was as a teenager.
I miss being in my late 20s. That's what I miss, or mid 20s.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that time.
Okay, I can definitely see that at least.
Yeah,
I find it pretty disconcerting when people that I used to know in high school would say that their glory years or their best time or they were at their best in high school. I'm like,
oh, I hated high school.
Dude, what happened?
So we should just say, instead of adulting sucks, we should just say high school sucked.
Oh my God.
So awful.
It was, yeah. Okay, well.
Anyways. Why are we here today?
Yes, before we get into the review, Kim, there is a lot of stuff that you do outside of this of reviewing movies with me, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for you to discuss what exactly is that you do outside in case people want to engage with you or maybe want to know what you do. So tell us, what do you do outside, Kim?
Sure. So couple of things that I do. I'm a jack of all trades, but so I do work a full-time job as an IT project manager, but my side passion, if you will, is basically self-care, educating, providing self-care products for others, especially women when it comes to skincare, cosmetics, wellness products, as well as empowering women to start their own businesses and make a life for them outside of their 9-to-5 boring full-time jobs, right?
Right.
So I have been in the social selling business for about 8 years now. And I really like to kind of market my products as self-care products because of my passion for mental health. If anyone's ever interested out there in podcast land or needs some advice on self-care and mental health, feel free to hit me up at www.kimshactman.com.
Okay, yeah. So if you are interested in what she's selling, this is makeup products, self-care, skincare, things like that. It is
not makeup.
Not makeup.
It's called cosmetics.
What's the difference?
Cosmetics are a lot more professional.
Okay, fine. It's like when I call movies film, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fine. So if you are looking for cosmetics products, check out KimShactman.com to check out what she is providing. So, just thought it would be nice to let people know what you're into outside of, unfortunately, knowing me and doing this review, and fortunately doing this review shtick with me. So, check out KimShactman.com. I will leave a link on the show notes, and on YouTube, I'll have the link up on the page as well.
Oh,
all right.
That's so kind.
No, it's what I do, you know? It's what I do. Today, we're going to review the 1989 comedy drama Parenthood, starring, oh, God, there's a lot of people in this movie.
There's a ton of people. A ton of people.
That surprised me when I first watched this. Parenthood, starring Steve Martin, Mary Steenburgen, Dianne Weist, Jason Robards, Keanu Reeves, and Martha Plimpton, directed by Ron Howard. That's probably why there are so many well-known and good actors in this movie because it's directed by Ron Howard. I know you're probably familiar with Ron Howard, but I don't know if you're familiar with what movies he's directed.
When I think of Ron Howard, all I think of is Happy Days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's all I think of.
Yeah, that's where
I used to love that show.
That's where he made it as an actor, absolutely.
Yeah.
But he's also known for, nowadays, he directs a lot of stuff.
That's what I heard. Like, I heard he's like an amazing director.
He is a very good director and a very versatile director. He directed movies such as A Beautiful Mind. He also, he's done a lot. He's also produced one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which is Arrested Development. I don't know if you ever...
I love that show.
Oh, God, it's so funny.
I didn't realize he directed that.
He produced it, actually.
Oh.
He might have directed an episode or two, but he produced it mostly. If you watch the episodes, he actually is the narrator throughout all the episodes.
Oh, yeah, hilarious show.
Oh God, it's so funny.
Husband loves that show. He turned me on to it, and I was like, this is great.
But like I said, he's also very versatile. He did sports movies like Rush. He's done comedies like The Dilemma. Dramas like Angels and Demons. Frost Nixon is really good. Incredibly versatile director.
Oh, he did Apollo 13?
Yes, he did.
I love that movie.
Right, and Cinderella Man, The Missing, A Beautiful Mind, I think is where he won the Oscar. He's a very versatile director, but because of how versatile he is, I don't think he gets a lot of credit for how good of a director he is with the more, I guess, on the side of the fence I am in when it comes to film. The ones that watch a lot of different films and really hone in on specific directors. He doesn't get a lot of credit for what he does. Now, bearing in mind, he's also got a lot of crap on his sheets, but the movies that he's good in, that he does good in, are actually really good. My favorite of his is Rush. I
haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, Rush is a fantastic movie.
And what kind of movie is that? Like, is it like a...
Well, it stars Chris Hemsworth, and it's about F1 racing.
Oh, I want to watch that.
And this is F1 racing in the 70s between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. It has a fantastic performance by Daniel
I'll
Bruhl.
have to watch that. My husband's wicked into F1 right now.
Oh,
he
would
the TV
love
show. Yeah.
He would love this movie.
I bet he's probably already seen it, but I haven't seen it yet.
If you and your husband do not see that, we should probably check that out at some point, because that's a fantastic. So you're familiar with Ron Howard as an actor. Any of the movies that and you said Apollo 13 is something he's directed.
I love Apollo 13. That's a great film.
Very good movie, but he's actually a really good director. Is he in my top 10 of directors? No, but he is an incredibly versatile director. When he does something, I am generally interested in what he does. Except for The Dilemma. The Dilemma sucked. That was so bad. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah.
Now I know I don't need to.
True. I mean, you could always just listen to me like you should have, like, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Whatever.
But, you know, it's good that you've actually clued in late in life to realize how right I am about my film opinions. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let us get into the review of Parenthood, the 1989 comedy drama starring Steve Martin, Mary Steenburgen, and Dianne Weist, directed by Ron Howard. You mentioned it in the beginning, and I think we should just point out again, is that the cast in this movie is really good. Really good. And I was kind of surprised that in the beginning that this type of movie got such a cast. So let's go over the cast real quick again. So we got Steve Martin. He's the main star. Even though I don't think he really is like the big star of the movie when it comes to like the main character. Well, I guess he kind of is. But
what do they call like movies where they have like, I don't know if it's like different stories like within a movie? Like, is there like a name for that?
Well,
you know what I'm talking about?
This is generally an ensemble piece where
that's the word I'm looking for, like ensemble.
Yeah, where a lot of stories is going on, and it's a lot of actors that are in the movie that generally have their different types of stories.
But it wasn't overwhelming. Like I could still follow it, which was nice.
No, yeah, definitely. So we have Steve Martin, Mary Steenburgen, Dianne Weist, who got an Oscar nomination for this movie, Jason Robards, Rick Moranis, Tom Hulce, Martha Plimpton, Keanu Reeves, Harley Jane Cusack, and then a very young Joaquin Phoenix in this movie.
Who is is he in the movie? I just looked that up. I'm like, wait, what?
He's Gary. He's the son of Dianne Weist and Martha Plimpton's brother. He's the kid that keeps walking out the door when Dianne Weist's character is trying to talk to him.
Oh my God, that's Joaquin Phoenix?
Yes, so he is named...
Holy cow!
But his name in the movie, in the credits, is Leaf.
Oh.
Leaf Phoenix. So I won't get into why that is, because Joaquin Phoenix's story is absolutely fascinating. In general...
I'll have to go look that up.
Yeah, but in general, I don't think River was his name either. He had a different name, but look that stuff up, because that's fascinating when you learn about Joaquin Phoenix. This has got a lot of different stars in this movie, and for the most part, they're all pretty good. Like
in the film, yeah, they were
absolutely.
excellent.
Even in his limited capacity, Keanu Reeves is not bad in this movie.
No,
and
not at all.
He kind of plays kind of a dick, which kind of surprised me. But he's kind of that young dick
somewhat, but like, yeah, he just doesn't, he's not mature enough.
He doesn't know any better. Let's just get right into performances right here. I think the best performance of the movie is Dianne Weist, who plays Helen in the movie, who is the single mother who is struggling to take care of her daughter and son. Her performance is very good in this, and it's easy to see why she got an Oscar nomination for this movie. I would like to see what her competition was, to be completely frank. Her performance, I thought, was very good in this, as a frustrated, trying to hold her head above water type of parent. I have no idea what she does for a living, because she's always in a suit. But
yeah, that's true. It doesn't really show her like going to work or anything.
Yeah, I thought that was a very good performance by her in this, and she's usually a very good actress too. So that doesn't surprise me.
I like her a lot.
What about you? What was your favorite performance?
I mean, I'd have to agree with you, but I also like Jason Robards, Frank, the dad.
Yes.
The older dad. Yeah, I thought he was really good. I mean, I just love Steve Martin for his comedy too, but when it comes to like the best performance, I'd probably say for me it's a tie between Dianne Weist and Jason Robards.
He won the Oscar for Julia and All the President's Men. Like, he was really good in All the President's Men. I
liked Julia. I've seen that. That's a good movie.
You've seen that? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Other key performances. When Steve Martin is in between, like when he does his comedy/drama shtick as a family man, it's okay, but he's not great in these roles. We're talking Cheaper by the Dozen. We're talking about Father of the Bride. I know that your favorites are yours. He's done a number of other movies like this where he is like the good old dad. He's got a little comedy in him, a little drama.
Yeah, he's like a little cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fine in this, but I don't think that really stretches his acting muscles very much in this. When he does movies like The Spanish Prisoner or like a movie called Shop Girl, he's actually really good in those roles. But in this role, I understood why people liked him in this, but I particularly didn't think he was great in these roles.
He's just likable. Like, it's just his character. It's not like for the actual acting. You know what I mean? Like, if you were like, oh my God, this is the performance of Steve Martin's life, like, no, definitely not.
No.
You know?
This is like his comedic persona toned way down. That's what I think Steve Martin's performance is in this movie and in movies like this.
I guess whenever I think of Steve Martin, though, I always think of these types of movies, and I don't know if it's because the majority of the movies I've seen him in are like Father of the Bride, and that I've personally seen, so maybe I just feel that that's his style, but it sounds like he has a few other movies that he's a bit better in.
No, like his style is like screwball, insane, stupid comedy. And that's usually where he's his best, like The Jerk. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I would say is an exception, because his persona, like he's in this, is the same in that movie, but is much more comedic based in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So
we're gonna have to watch a few of these, because I haven't seen The Jerk and I haven't seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I haven't seen that. Okay. And then Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Bowfinger. Oh my God, Bowfinger is so good.
I feel like I've seen that, but I can't remember.
With Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, I feel like I have seen that.
Okay.
But a long time ago.
Well, we have a list of things that we can get to then.
Yeah.
I would love to see Bowfinger again, but yeah. Other performances, Tom Holland.
I like Mary Steenburgen. Is that how you say her name?
Steenburgen, yeah.
I feel like a lot of the movies that she's in, her role is like similar.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I like her. I don't know. I just think she's cute. She's a cute actress, and she does fine for what it is.
Sure. Yeah, like that I would agree with. That's kind of the role that she does. It's just this lovable kind of rock solid wifey type of role. Yeah, I agree with that. Tom Hulce as the fuck up brother, Larry. I thought that was a good performance. It was kind of weird seeing him play an absolute screw up, even though he played an absolute screw up who was actually incredibly talented in the movie Amadeus. I mean, he was really good in Amadeus, but he was all right in this movie.
I thought it wasn't bad. I mean, I feel like his performance wasn't bad for what it was. I think he played well with his dad in the movie. I think they were a good pair.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then another performance I want to point out is Harley Kozak. She plays Susan in the movie, who's exasperated with her husband, who's trying to over-educate his daughter to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good performance. I was actually kind of surprised by that performance. I just found it hard that she could be attracted to Rick Moranis.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's so funny. Whenever I look at Rick Moranis, all I think of is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I've watched that movie so many times.
I think of the guy from Ghostbusters, the really nerdy, really awkward kind of guy. Yeah. But when her character would talk about, oh, man, we used to have sex all the time, I'm like, oh, God.
Really? She's a little nerd.
He was a machine. I'm like, oh, why?
No, she's like, oh, we were like rabbits. That's what she says in the movie.
It's like, oh, God.
And then she's like, oh, and we're driving down the street and he's all tense and I give him head on the highway or something. And we're like, what?
And you're just looking at Rick Moranis having this face. Yeah.
It's just they're a weird couple.
Yeah. I thought Rick Moranis was fine in the role, but it was just that little I can't believe these two would be, but okay, whatever. Whatever.
It's fine. Okay.
Whatever floats your boat, lady.
Yeah, right? Exactly. You're stunning and could probably get any man you wanted, but all right, go for the weird little nerd.
Well, I guess men like me hope that I could get a woman like that in some way. Anyway, yes, give me some hope here. The younger actors, I mean, the three main ones are Joaquin Phoenix, Martha Plimpton, and Keanu Reeves.
I really liked Martha Plimpton. I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, she was actually... Oh, God, it was so weird seeing her so young. But yeah.
I know. I was like, oh, my God. But her and Keanu Reeves did really well together as a couple in the movie.
Yeah.
So they played well with each other, too.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I like Keanu Reeves a little more in this movie.
Yeah, and I'm not a Keanu Reeves fan whatsoever. I don't like him. I never really have, but I thought he was pretty good.
Keanu Reeves, in his little niche, I can appreciate, because he does really well in those action movies like The Matrix and John Wick. Anytime he goes outside of that, it's like, ooh, why, dude? No.
But this movie, I thought the role was kind of perfect for him at the age he was at too.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into writing real quick on this.
Sure.
I was kind of surprised by how balanced this movie was. The movie seems to strike a definite balance between drama, comedy, Hollywood ideals, but also a very not realistic, but it's not pandering with what they're talking to. It's not these types of movies have an issue where it kind of turns into remember the movies they would have the after school specials. It would become very after school, especially where it would be about
again super cheesy.
Yes, all about the message and also teaching a lesson and stuff like that. But this movie dealt with a lot of sensitive topics that, for a PG-13 movie in 1989, that I was very surprised they went to.
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the movie, they show the little kid's penis. I was like, what the heck? Is that the only reason it's PG-13?
But back then, when it came to kids that young, we're talking about a child who was 1 or 2. Yeah. They kind of had no problem with doing that, because people, my opinion, I might be wrong, but I don't think people were as bothered by that until now, when they start realizing that, some people get the wrong idea and, whatever. I am surprised it's PG-13. Well, it's PG-13 because of the things they talk about. Like, this movie deals with, I would say, some very sensitive subjects, but in a lighthearted kind of way. We're talking about teen relationships, school dropouts, absentee fathers, divorce. We mentioned sex at a certain point in this movie as well, and then
disability. The little kid in the school with the
mental health issues. Yep. Yes, the fact
teen pregnancy.
Right. We'll get into that. Yeah, they deal with all these sensitive subjects, but not only does it work in this movie, but they do it in a way that's not ham-fisted. But it's not entirely deep either. Like, there's a movie that I watched long ago that I hate so much that people seem to somewhat like. It's called August Osage County.
I've never seen that.
And what this movie does is it's about a dysfunctional family that goes through all this dramatic stuff. And all the worst things happen to this family. Like, it goes from sexual harassment to incest to pedophilia, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! What else?
My God!
Yeah, what else is this family going through? This movie does the same thing. All these things that these families go through, that all these challenging things that families go through. Yet, I didn't have a problem with that because it dealt with it in a sensitive. But
I was gonna say they didn't portray they didn't portray it in this harsh feeling, or it's not being shoved down your throat. Right, but
it's also not in a Leave It to Beaver sort of way where everything's okay in the end.
Exactly.
It's that mixture that they do so well in this movie that made me appreciate it as I was watching it, because I was waiting for the shoe to drop in this movie. They're going to screw up somewhere in this movie. It's going to fall apart. And it never did. It actually ended up being a very sweet, but still engaging film where I didn't feel like my intelligence was being insulted throughout. So
Right. No, I 110% agree with you. And I like, too, that, throughout the movie, it wasn't always happy-go-lucky after something bad happened, right? It's just not how it was.
Right, and they portray, and the characters, even though they're Hollywood. Let's be fair; these are not independent, realistic portrayals.
But it made me feel like it could be
that they're realistic portrayals,
like a realistic story.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. But I think the thing I liked about this is not that there wasn't a perfect character in most of these movies. They do in these family movies. One person would be the perfect person, the person that everyone relies on, the rock, the person that is
that never breaks down,
Right. And that would usually be the main character, which is Steve Martin's character, Gil.
Right.
And Gil's not like that. Gil is also very flawed in his ways. When it comes to the writing of the characters, I thought this was actually very good.
I agree.
Directing, I mean, it's fine. It's not really something that I would honestly say is a great directing job. It's set in a town that is very idyllic, but I guess that underlies underlies what's going on in the film with these families that are having not so perfect lives. So I guess it's kind of a juxtaposition to a certain extent. But for the most part, it's it's directed like a standard family drama.
I was gonna say I didn't think it would it doesn't seem like it would be a tough movie to direct. I just don't you know what I mean? The direction of it, it's just it seems pretty straightforward for what it is.
Right. It's not complicated. It's meant to be comfortable, and it's made for someone who just wants to watch a movie, basically. And the main focus is our performance and the writing. So yeah, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not great. It's fine. It's serviceable, is what I would say.
Oh, I like that word, serviceable. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
You want to get into spoilers?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into spoilers for Parenthood, the 1989 comedy drama directed by Ron Howard. If you have not seen it, you should come back when you are ready and to listen to us talk about spoilers. We'll get into spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for it. What do you got for me?
I don't... there's nothing really surprising in this movie that this movie deals with. For the most part, I mean, it's the writing that blends the sensitive with the real and the performances that carry this movie. And I think the best one that I'm going to... Like we mentioned, I think the story with Dianne Weist's character Helen and her daughter and son, I think is the one that is the linchpin with me that says that the writing and the acting is really good in this movie, and I think carries this movie. Because if you had an actress that was much more hysterical than Dianne Weist was in this movie, this would have fell apart and she would have been really annoying. But she actually pulls
I was
off
thinking that too, and obnoxious and just unrealistic.
Well, but in that situation, I can understand why someone in that situation might be a little obnoxious because she's absolutely exhausted with what's going on. But you can't really do that in a movie, especially one that you want to like the characters.
Right.
Because a lot of movies that deal with this in the dramatic sense, where it's about a parent who is just exhausted and is having a really hard time raising his or her kids, the movie has to also point out the flaws of which the parent is going through to make it a more dramatic type of movie to engage with. And this movie does this too, to a certain extent, but in this movie they make her more sympathetic, whereas in a much more heavy drama, it would point out how she is screwing up to a certain extent.
Right. If she wasn't sympathetic to her children, instead, on the opposite spectrum, she would just be constantly angry, borderline wanting to disown her kids, never be around. You know what I mean? I feel like I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think when the daughter Julie gets involved with Todd, I was really afraid of the direction this was going to go in, because this really felt like that Todd was going to be an abusive person. There's going to be beatings.
Yeah, I was wait, yeah.
Oh, no. But the movie doesn't go that direction. It kind of makes Todd sympathetic halfway through, which I was really surprised by.
I really liked how they did that.
Yeah, I did too in this movie. And again, and Keanu Reeves pulls this off in this movie, where he
does very well. I just wanted to hug him when he's standing in the kitchen talking to the mother, and he's talking about how his dad was pretty much verbally and a little bit physically abusive to him, and
yeah,
it's just so sad.
Yeah,
makes you really sympathize with him.
And again, he performs that pretty well. I mean, a lot of people say his best performance is My Own Private Idaho, which is another movie where he was very young in. And this happens with some actors. They really get into their best acting when they're young, and then when they get older, they have to find a niche, and they have to try and survive then, which is what Keanu Reeves did. He became an action star when really, in the beginning, he was considered a pretty good actor. He was actually considered somebody who was probably going to be one of the best actors out there, because he was really doing well in these roles as a younger kid and as a younger adult. So I guess this isn't really much of a surprise for me, but then again, I guess I still remember him from The Matrix and other movies. The
action films.
Yeah, and other movies now where I think he is so wooden and he's got no artistic flair, and I see him in this and go, oh, so that's why people thought he was going to be good. Okay, I get it now.
Let me tell you, though, what my favorite scene in the movie was.
Okay.
When it comes to acting. So the scene where Joaquin Phoenix and, what's her name, Weiss, he wants to call his dad, and he wants to go live with his dad. And he goes to call the dad, and, the dad's a dentist, I guess, and he calls the dad, and the dad won't let him come stay with him for whatever reason. That scene was it just totally rips your heart out. And it was so well done. Mm-hmm. Between the kid and the kid's crying, and he's trying to hold back tears, and the mother sitting at the table, crying for him. And that whole scene was wow. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, and Joaquin Phoenix did that performance really well in that scene. And that was key to it. A lot of movies that do this scene will have the father. You hear the father what he says. Right,
like talking. Yeah.
Yeah, and either he's like yelling at the child, or he's like, yeah, I don't know, that's a good idea, and you know, and you have to rely on the adult actor to carry that scene, so you would feel bad for the child. But you don't hear that. You just see the look on Joaquin Phoenix's face, and he pulls it off.
It is like heart-wrenching. I was just like, wow, like this is a really good performance.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm not surprised to a certain extent knowing where Joaquin Phoenix is now, but it really is a very good performance. Another thing I was surprised by from this film is how frank the sex talk is. I mean, we already talked about the talk about giving roadhead at some point. Yeah. There is talk of abortions, and we see a dildo a couple of times.
I forgot about that. And the power goes out, and he's looking for a flashlight. He grabs the dildo. What does the grandmother say?
It's an earwax remover.
Oh yeah, the mother. She goes, "What?" And the little girl goes, "That's really big for your ear." Oh, it's cute. Oh, and then my other favorite scene in the movie is when, like, towards the end, when the great grandmother comes out and she's talking about the roller coaster ride versus the carousel. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, it was a sweet type of. It was actually a very sweet line in that movie too.
And then it's like Steve Martin like doesn't grasp it, and then the wife, she's like, you know, I love the roller coaster ride. Like, I don't know, it was just so. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and then the little kid, Cool. I feel so bad for him when the dad. What a loser! What a fucking loser! Yeah. And I was really pissed off that the dad just kept taking it. He just kept taking it, just giving him money. It's like you're not gonna put your foot down? Like what? Just crazy.
Well, so from what I've heard from other people when involved with this, when you know that you've done a poor job as a parent, it's really hard to put your foot down because you don't want to hear how much of a fuck up you've been as a parent. Yeah. So I think that's where that came from with that.
So sad.
Yeah. Like, but then it's kind of sweet also because then for the first time he steps up and there's a scene in the movie.
And he takes the child.
Yeah. And then he talks to Gil, who he thinks is a good father. Yeah. And he admits to him, like, I know I wasn't a good father, but I need to talk to somebody who I know is. And that is a sweet scene on top of that as well. It's also a complex scene because I don't think Gil really appreciated that, and I can understand why. Because I think the way that scene was done was actually pretty smart. Because in, I would say, a lesser drama or a drama that wasn't as well written as this would have been like, oh, thanks, Dad. You know, yeah, it's great. But Gil was much more complicated with that. He's like, I don't know how to deal with this right now.
Right.
Yeah, you're admitting to me that I'm a good father, you were a bad father, and I never had that chance. Like, he didn't say this, but the look of, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't with you. This is really, but yeah.
And then what does he say? He's like, he said something like, oh, I'm tense, and then he said, oh, I don't know how to do this, and then he's like, you always worry too much or something. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, to Gil, right.
Yeah.
Like I said in the during the review portion, like this movie, it does deal with stereotypes. It does deal with the standards of these types of movies. But this movie has the right mix of sensitivity, warmth, but realism. And
yes.
And it's kind of hard to watch this movie, look at like scenes from this movie and see realism. Because these are upper class people, they live this picturesque town and this picturesque life, but they deal with subjects with most families deal with in, I think, a good light. Not just a good light, but in a very realistic light. I like the way that this film mixes everything up so well in this, and it just takes one thing to go wrong to mess the entire thing up, but I definitely like the way that it formulated everything
I really liked how they did the very end, like the very ending, how they showed kind of like down, a little bit down the road on where everyone kind of ended up.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. Like Dianne Weist finally like found a man that loves her, and they have another child. Like they're parents again. Like I don't know. It's just I like the way they kind of wrapped it up at the end.
That was a very sweet ending. Absolutely. Liz, I want to point out one thing before we get into final thoughts. I
Sure.
do find it interesting that this film spawned 2 TV series.
Oh yeah. So did it really? Is that where like so I know there's a TV series called Parenthood.
Yes, that was that in 2010 to 2015.
I have seen that whole series and I loved it.
Yeah, so that series is based off of this film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. It was written by characters based off of the people who wrote this movie. But what I think few people don't know is that after this film was made, they rushed a series into development in 1990 with the same name, same characters. It only lasted 12 episodes, which means it got canceled before its first season ended. And it starred a very young Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, interesting.
And I think he played...
And did Ron Howard direct that as well?
No. What happened, I think, with that is that someone bought the rights to it, and of course, and then Ron Howard, I don't think had anything to do with it, but he basically gave them the permission to do that, with a producing credit, of course. And then he went ahead and they went ahead and did the series, and it bombed, essentially. It didn't do very well. But then it came back again in 2010 with Parenthood, the series. It had
an outstanding cast.
Yes, the cast in that is good as well, except for Dak Shepard, who I just hate for some ungodly reason.
You don't like him?
I
like
I've
him.
never liked Dak Shepard.
Oh.
I've never found him funny. I was like, no. And the person I was with at the time loved the show, and I just, I can't stand Dak Shepard. I do like Lauren Graham, though. I do like her very much.
Yeah.
So that series was spawned from this movie.
That series was really good.
I've heard people like that movie, that show.
Yeah, I've seen the whole thing, and I think I actually watched it twice. It was really, really good.
I saw a couple of seasons, and I was like, yeah, it's good. It was like, it's fine. You want to get into final thoughts?
Let's do it.
All right. I will go first.
Okay.
So, Parenthood, I guess it shouldn't surprise me that I like this movie because the person who directs it seems to know how to direct movies very well in different types of movies. But I was kind of surprised that I didn't feel guilty for liking this movie because it actually is pretty well done when it comes to these types of films. The mix of sensitivity, sweet, warmth, and realism, I think, is so well done that it deserves a lot of credit for the writers who did this movie. Nothing felt too cheesy, nothing felt too corny, but nothing was overly dramatic. It just had this right mix of all that stuff to make a compelling movie that I thought was very entertaining. Performances are really good. Dianne Weist is good. I think that whole thing, the whole subplot with Dianne Weist, Martha Plimpton, Keanu Reeves, and Joaquin Phoenix, I think was the best part of this movie. I think it was really the most engaging and the best part of the movie, in my opinion. Other than that, other performances that were great: Tom Hulce, Jason Robards, Harley Kozak, all really good in this movie. I'm going to give this movie 3.5 stars. Almost a 4, but I'll give it 3.5.
Why 3.5?
Because even though I do like it a lot, it does nothing new.
Oh, whatever.
Shut up. Okay, shut up. Okay? It's my opinion, damn it. Whose name is on the podcast, huh?
Okay, you do you.
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
you.
Exactly. I do me. I do me. That's right. You're not going to guilt me into giving it a higher rating. Fuck you, Kim. God. You're just like all the trolls out there.
All right, are you done? No, I'm just kidding.
Everyone wants to hear what my opinion is. Okay. 3.5 stars. The other thing also, okay, fine. I'll explain it. I am very picky with what I give 4, 4.5, and 5 stars. Like, I gave 4 stars to Vertigo, and I've already gotten comments on that review saying, how do you give Vertigo, one of the best movies ever made, 4 stars? And the honest truth is, I am very picky with what I give 5 stars. But
You
anyway,
are, yeah.
Yeah. So 3.5 stars from me for Parenthood. I thought this was a very charming, but also very tender, sweet, and very well dramatic movie. I definitely would recommend it for people who haven't watched it yet. So yeah, 3.5 stars from me for Parenthood. If you do 3.5 after you bitched with me, I'm
not going to.
Okay, good. Go ahead. Your final thoughts.
I'm kinder.
Kinder my ass. Yeah.
I give this film 4.5 stars.
Okay.
I really, really loved it. I thought that the cast was phenomenal. As you mentioned, like it hit the spot too, right? Like so. For me personally, for the week that I've had a really stressful week, and it was so nice to just sit down and watch a film that could in some way be relatable, you know, if you have children, but not super heavy, but not so light that I just wanted to punch the TV because it was so cheesy. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a great balance.
Yeah.
It was a 2-hour film, but it didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like I was like, okay, hurry up. I want this to be over. Like it was easy, but at the same time, it touched my heart. It really did. There were parts in the film where I was just like, wow. Like again, that one scene really, really got to me. So again, and there are a lot of points that you made that I completely agree with, but I think the cast alone was a lot of what made this movie, as well as the writing. But I highly recommend it. Just don't let your kids watch it because there are some pretty not so appropriate things in the movie.
Yeah, this film gets into some like racy things. They don't go like too like what do you call like detailed about it. But the fact that there's a dildo in the movie is like what?
Yeah, like there's some parts where like I don't think kids would pick up on it because they just wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like because they don't go as deep. But yeah, like some of the visuals, like the dildo and stuff like that, and then like
the roadhead scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say when they crashed the car, like with the roadhead, like come on.
Who hasn't though? Who hasn't?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, 4.5 stars for me for Parenthood. I highly recommend. I really enjoyed it, and I even recommend it more too, knowing that the Parenthood series spawned from it because that's a really good show.
You overrated highly to 4.5 stars.
Oh my god, shut up. It's my damn opinion. If you can say it's your damn opinion, well, it's mine too.
Yeah. Turn the Boston down, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Go Red Sox.
Oh my god.
Okay, fine. Yes, you can have your opinion no matter how wrong you are. Okay, so I'm kidding. I love you, Kim. Not in that way, but I love you.
I know.
There you go. Okay, so 4.5 stars for Kim on Parenthood, 3.5 for me. We both enjoyed this movie immensely.
Yeah, I really did. Like, I'd watch it again. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah, very sweet movie. So, yeah, definitely recommend it. It is, you can rent it for like $4 on YouTube, Google, or wherever. So, I would say, yeah, definitely check it out. It's a sweet movie. I actually really like it.
It's worth the $4.
Yes, absolutely. So, check that out if you are interested.